Hi there, I'm Tom Field. I'm Senior Vice President of Editorial with Information Security Media Group. I want to welcome you to today's session, which is entitled Migrating to a Modern Identity Platform. Our panel today includes Mike Kaiser, Director of Strategy and Standards with SailPoint, Joydeep Mandal, Senior Practice Manager, Cybersecurity and Risk Service with Wipro, Aman Takar, Managing Director with Agile, and Justin Hall, Senior Manager and Architect, also with Agile. Now, before I bring our panel onto the virtual stage, how about some background on our topic today? Powerful trends are spurring advancements in identity security programs like never before. Work environments are getting more complex, combined with the continuing shift to the cloud. Attackers are increasingly targeting identity as a vector, increasing the need for a modern and integrated identity solution that's resilient to attacks. Such breaches show that an identity program can do more than just boost security. It can reduce costs associated with security operations, improve operational efficiency, and speed attack response and recovery. And it can dramatically reduce other costs. For example, about 40% of all IT help desk calls are password related, and most of these calls can be eliminated through modern identity security solutions. So you're going to join our experts today from Wipro, Agile, and SailPoint for a discussion on how to not only make the business justification for migrating from a legacy to a modern identity security solution, tangible steps to get from point A to point B as quickly and as seamlessly as possible. Now, some background on my organization. Information Security Media Group is a global education and intelligence firm. We're 16 years old and based in the US in Princeton, New Jersey. You may know us, of course, by one or more of our 34 media properties. These include Bank Info Security, Gov Info Security, and Data Breach Today. In all, we reach an audience of over 1 million security leaders globally. We give them a daily diet of news, analysis, events, education, programs just like this one today. A few notes of housekeeping. One, if you have questions for any of our panelists during the course of this session, you can submit them anytime via the chat window on your screen. I likely can't get to every question, but those questions that we can answer today, we'll be sure to get responses back to you later via email. Should you encounter any technical issues while viewing today's webinar, take down that email address on your screen. If you write to webinars@ismg.io, we've got support staff standing by to help. Also, a reminder, today's session is copyrighted material. It's meant for today's webinar and for your own study purposes only. If you'd like to use any of the information presented today, or if you're looking for customized training materials, please contact us. Now, let's meet our sponsors, starting with SailPoint. SailPoint is the leading provider of identity security for the modern enterprise. Enterprise security starts and ends with all identities in their access, yet the ability to manage and secure identities today has moved well beyond human capacity. Using a foundation of artificial intelligence and machine learning, the SailPoint Identity Security Platform delivers the right level of access to the right identities and resources at the right time, matching the scale, velocity, and environmental needs of today's cloud-oriented enterprise. Their intelligent, autonomous, and integrated solution puts identity security at the core of digital business operations, enabling even the most complex organizations across the globe to build a security foundation capable of defending against today's most pressing threats. Let's meet Wipro. Wipro is a leading technology services and consulting company focused on building innovative solutions that address clients' most complex digital transformation needs. Leveraging a holistic portfolio of capabilities in consulting, design, engineering, operations, and emerging technologies to help clients realize their boldest ambitions and build future-ready, sustainable businesses. And let's meet Agile. Agile was founded in 2001 to deliver strategic cybersecurity and risk management services to the Fortune 500. What distinguishes Agile in this arena is its business-aligned security approach, coupled with the deep knowledge of its professionals and the active engagement of its leadership. Agile offers proven services to help solve complex security challenges across many industries, including healthcare, financial services, energy, retail, and more. And now briefly, let's meet our speakers. Mike Kaiser, of course, is the Director of Strategy and Standards with SailPoint. He's held so many industry positions over the past 20 years, from the office of the CTO to security strategist to security analyst. is designed, directed, and advised on large-scale security deployments for a global clientele. Joydeep Mandal is Senior Practice Manager, Cybersecurity and Risk Service at Wipro. He has 17 plus years of extensive experience in different aspects of cybersecurity with a strong focus on identity and access management. Aman Thakur serves as Managing Director for Agile's Identity Practice. He's got over 16 years of experience in information security, identity governance, access management, and enterprise architecture across various industries. And Justin Hall serves as Senior Manager and Architect with Agile in the East region and specializes in identity and access management strategy and implementation. With that, let's bring our expert panel onto the virtual stage here and let's have a discussion. Gentlemen, as they say, start your engines. Glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
Let's start the conversation here. Aman, I'm going to ask this question of you, but I welcome anyone to jump in with color commentary. What would you say are the limitations and challenges of legacy systems? In other words, how do they conflict with capabilities you need to future-proof your organization's identity security program?
Yeah, sure, Tom. So the biggest issue with legacy platforms and programs are when they were built, the cloud adoption was merely at, I would say, 0%. So a recent McAfee survey said like 93% of the organizations have some sort of a footprint in cloud today. And pretty soon this number will, I'm sure, reach 100%. So the biggest challenge is cloud adoption. These products are not built for adopting to cloud, managing cloud's entitlements, cloud security postures. Outside of that, these legacy tools lack the zero trust security model, which started as a philosophy and more of a framework now. There was operational complexity around these legacy products. Also, the regulatory compliance requirements, which drives the need for continuous monitoring and reporting. And also the cost. These legacy on-premise systems are the big dinosaur of our industry right now. And it's a struggle to keep up with these on-premise applications as far as performance and scalability is concerned. Talking about the technical aspects of these legacy systems, today we speak about all RESTful APIs and RESTful web services, JWT tokens, APIs. Legacy systems lacks all that. They don't. For example, let's take a very common scenario in our industry called authentication. Legacy systems lack the context when it comes to authentication. They don't know the user or the device or the environmental insights before authenticating an identity or a machine. So overall, all this combined is where the industry is lacking right now. And with the adoption of zero trust, all these factors warrant a need for a more modern cloud-based or SaaS-based IAM product like SailPoint.
Good. Panelists, anyone else want to jump in on this context setting question?
So let me add to what Aman mentioned. Again, to the story of the identity management as a domain, right? It had seen from 1995 onward a drastic change every 5 years in the way the business operates and the identities and the accesses and the overall cybersecurity matures. And that is where in the last 1 decade or maybe half a decade, what we are seeing is identity management as a whole is not only exactly the need to which effectively solves most of the problems. It is more about the governance aspect as well, where beyond the provisioning and deprovisioning and talking with multiple systems, there are multiple governance aspects which are also coming into play, and that is effectively maturing the identity management as a domain into more governance. And with the increasing heterogeneous landscape, we have to be very much sure that the legacy part of the identity platforms which were built back in 20 years back, they do not they up till today could not satisfy the governance aspect of it. right? So that is where we are talking about more identity governance as a solution and less about identity management with provisioning and deprovisioning and lifecycle management capability only.
Very good. Mike, I got a
Exactly.
question. Oh, go ahead, please.
No, so to Joy's point, like we have seen all these legacy systems which clearly lack in the access certification part of the IGA process. We have these monolithic major systems where clients are still using Excel spreadsheets to get done with their governance and regulatory compliances. So it surely needs a huge revamp and change in their security posture.
Very good. Mike, I see you nodding your head. I've got a question for you. How does a modern solution help fuel business transformation and mitigate risk?
That's a good question. As we've been talking about, legacy systems have existed for a while and they've been useful, but, as Joydeep said, the world is different, certainly since 20 years ago, even 3 or 4 years ago. Think back to 2019, 2018, how we did things. Cloud adoption was on the rise, but then overnight, the world changed, right? And so our solutions began to realize that they were not capable of meeting speed and scale notions presented by cloud adoption. And not just that, but massive changes in how we organize our lives. There's never been an easier time to argue and discuss with people who are doing identity and trying to secure resources and reduce risk for businesses, that things are different and we need a new approach. And that new approach really helps organizations, modern solutions really help organizations not only reduce risk, but also fuel transformation. We talked about how the processes were largely manual in a lot of these organizations. So automation plays a huge part in that. But that old perimeter, those old assumptions of what was secure and what was not secure. If you were on the internal LAN, on premise at the enterprise, you were secure somewhat by default. If you were outside it, you weren't. SailPoint saw this change, and we watched this change over the last 3 to 5 years, like I said, and we did a survey to see where people were on this journey to using identity well and to reducing risk and fueling efficiency. We surveyed over 300 global companies, many of these large organizations. And we had 5 different horizons, if you will, of maturity, from one end being completely manual, all the way to using artificial intelligence and machine learning and comprehending all kinds of identities, including new technologies like verifiable credentials, if you've heard of that, all in the service of zero trust principles. And what we found was organizations who were farther along on that maturity, organizations who had already realized identity is essential, using it well, giving people the right access to the right things at the right time in reliable, provable ways, actually improved their security posture. There was a 40% improvement in detecting and responding to identity issues and security issues within their organization. So ultimately, what it does is it translates all this functionality into a view of identity that's no longer fragmented, but it's informed, it's using the latest technology, and it's reducing risk in ways that are explainable and communicable to the board, which are the ones that are ultimately going to fund these programs. And that's really what they're interested in, right? It's not trying to explain risk to the board, by the way, because that's not the goal, but it's more saying, well, here's the risk stance, and here's how identity is reducing that, as well as enabling new opportunities. For example, I was talking to an organization the other day, and they have a lot of, they're in the medical vertical, and they have a lot of contingent workers, a lot of workers that are traveling and transient. They get hired for a while, then they get let go. And so some of these new identity concepts are helping them to onboard them faster, more quickly, use them when they're necessary to meet the use cases that they need, and then reduce risk by suspending or terminating those accounts, whatever they choose, and those identities in the long term. That's a practical way that is only available through modern architectures and modern solutions that use identity well.
Oh, very well said. Aman, I've got a question for you. Why do organizations need to get to a zero trust architecture, and how does modernizing their identity security platforms then enable zero trust?
Yeah, so actually, so Mike already explained part of it in his talk just now. So I'll pick some of those points. For example, before the zero trust framework came into existence, the whole security was tied to the network boundary. So anytime you're inside a VPN boundary, everything was considered to be secure. There were no internal threat vectors considered. So what we have seen with the zero trust framework and what happened with the pandemic, this network boundary has disappeared, and this new network boundary is transformed into into identity parameter. So now identity is the new parameter when it comes to defining trust, and this trust based on zero trust framework is earned through verification with every single step. So a bunch of things that I would say all organizations should move forward towards is, for example, just-in-time access. Provision access when it's needed and revoke that access as soon as the operation is done. Then the principle of least privilege, grant only the access that's needed for a particular task, and then again, revoke that access if it's not needed. Anytime an identity, be it human or machine, if it's moving between two different network segmentations, which is a core part of zero trust network architecture, make them authenticate and authorized every single time. And of course, all this ties in together with auditing and logging so that you have logs and traces of knowing who did what on your network segment. So all in all, these factors drop your internal threat vectors. It, of course, drop the external threat vectors as well, and it gives you a good security posture with cloud adoption.
Well said. How about we start talking about the migration here? And Justin, Aman, I've got a question for you to tackle. Where should organizations begin the modernization journey? And if I can add to that, what are some common questions they need to be asking of themselves as they embark upon this journey?
Sure. So I can start off with that one. We'll get into it a little bit later, I think, kind of our generic methodology. But the big key factor of it is that it's very strategy driven. So that's something that we're going to build that plan, roadmap, and journey with the organization. And the idea is that, during that time, they obviously do want to ask themselves some common questions. So one that we've touched on already is, what's the organization's strategy towards cloud adoption? Do they have a preferred cloud vendor? Do they want to be very cloud focused? If they want to still stay on-prem, what are the reasons for that? How can we address those? And the other thing that is really important that we want to talk to is, we discussed earlier a lot of pain points, limitations of legacy systems. We want to understand which one of those apply to the organization and which ones do they want to address by doing this migration. So we want to make sure that the solution is tailored to what fits the company's needs best. Aman, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, Justin, I would add again, I'm trying to repeat myself, but again, their likeness or affinity towards the zero trust architecture. It's not just a big buzzword, but that's, I would say, the goal that every organization should focus on right now. And of course, performance and scalability. All these legacy applications were built on monolithic architectures where even to move a single brick out of it could bring the whole wall down. So, and with all these modern IGA solutions, such as SailPoint Identity Now, they're all built on microservices architecture, and that's what the next gen future is as far as cloud adoption is concerned.
Aman, I've got a follow-up question for you. In your observations, the customers you've worked with, what are some of the obstacles of migration, and how can organizations overcome them?
All right, so Tom, some of the most common ones we have seen is, for example, don't migrate the broken processes. If you have a process that's been working for 20 years, and of course, someone wrote it 20 years back, don't try to move that process into your new system. This is your chance to optimize that process, and maybe the new solution can do it in a much more better way. So this is the time, try to cut down on migrating your broken processes. Avoid, a lot of organizations go for the big bang approach. They want like for like replacement in the very first go of the project. We definitely recommend our clients to avoid the big bang approach. Agile has application prioritization framework where we help organizations prioritize and migrate these applications in waves or phases so that the customers get the best bang for their buck without much interruption to their common day-to-day business. Thirdly, I would say expect some sort of a temporary coexisting existence between your legacy and modern solution. We always try to focus on the back office automation processes first so that the end user doesn't really know what's going on behind the scenes. And the very last thing we want to touch is the end user interaction. All the screens are day-to-day tasks that they do. That's what we want to touch at the very last phase of the project. And again, if it's possible, legacy was done 20, 25 years ago. If possible, build greenfield rather than modifying your legacy or putting a band-aid on the solution. And of course, I would end this with the communication and outreach. You should have the buy-in from your executive sponsors, your company. They should be aware of what exactly you are going to do and how this will help them leverage zero trust and cloud adoption.
Very good. All right, Justin, Joydeep, I'm going to ask you to take us a little bit deeper and tell us how this is done. What are some of the key steps, including, of course, best practices, methodology, and even any customer examples you can share?
Sure. So as mentioned earlier, we've, with our experience, developed a 6-step methodology and framework for kind of leading these migrations. So it's a very strategy-driven approach. So we want to first understand the current state, understand how the legacy system is set up and why it was set up that way. And then we want to do a technical gap analysis to understand what the differences are between the legacy system and the modern system that you're moving to. So, for example, understanding, SailPoint has better built-in automation than a lot of these legacy tools. So understanding what things can be improved on just by moving to SailPoint. And then we want to understand the data model and how they're going to translate one-to-one. It's not necessarily as easy as just moving the data over. Sometimes there changes have to be made. Might need to rework some things, store different fields and things like that. So just understanding those changes that are needed. That's really going to help us build that roadmap for the migration deployments. Aman mentioned, we don't want to do a big bang, turn one system off, turn the other system on, right? That never works. So we propose, normally we do about 3 phases or go lives with our clients. So we like to hit on a core deployment where we just get the systems up and running, authoritative sources and core pieces connected to. And then we start looking into what fits that organization best. So do we want to prioritize access certifications, onboarding a lot of applications? Do we want to focus on RBAC? Do we want to focus on user lifecycle events? That prioritization of pieces, that's kind of done during those first 3 steps of the methodology, that kind of strategy-driven approach.
And how about rigidity versus flexibility?
Right. So for the program to have success, it really needs to be tailored to the organization. We would love to tell you that, this project is going to take exactly, 18 months. It's going to be exactly how we did it at these 3 previous organizations. But in the end, that's not true. It has to be tailored to the organization. Everyone has different complexities, different needs. And so as the, us guiding you, we want you to be involved in the strategy and the choices into how to do the migration. We have a slide here that we can show that just some example migration paths that we've done at different clients. As you look through these different pieces, and these are just 3 examples, you can see certain pieces have moved around. For example, RBAC in this first client was prioritized later, but in our 3rd path here that we've done, you can see that RBAC was very important to some stakeholders. They wanted that done very early in the migration path. So no roadmap is 100% the same.
Very good. Joydeep, I wonder if you might be able to speak to accelerators that then speak to the time to value.
Right. So again, I will take a step back on a few of the points mentioned by Aman and Justin on the zero trust. And the second one is, if we are calling our identity management system a legacy system, why we are calling so, and how the most recent IGA solutions like SailPoint is bringing values to customers, and then what is the accelerators we are providing to help our customer adopt that the IGA, the latest IGA. Now, when it comes to the governance side of things, majorly I keep on saying that zero trust always used to exist from the very first day when we started thinking about security in our with our computers and everything. Now that as the security models and frameworks matured in 2010, Gartner came up with zero trust. And again, I keep on saying, no organization starts zero trust from zero. Every organization has some level of security in there, whereas they do not know at what level they are. And that is where zero trust as a framework is helping organization to identify at which level, based on the guidelines, they are in the security maturity. Now, when it comes to zero trust, we primarily, the major core thing about zero trust is the whom to trust, right? So it is the individuals whom we will be trusting with our assets, right? Now, that is where identity becomes the core of the zero trust model. And that is where the identity governance as a program and SailPoint as a tool can bring in a lot of value in the overall zero trust picture. Now, when it comes to the assets, what to trust with, that is where, again, we will point to the legacy part of the things, right? So if we talk about from 2010 to 2000 to 2010, majorly we were talking about the on-premises data center based self-hosted applications, and then came the cloud journey for many organizations. Based on their acceptability, they started moving into the cloud, and that is where the identity management tools from 2010 to 2000 to 2010 didn't mature themselves to accept or embrace the cloud journey of all the organizations and how they should mature, right? And that is where the identity management tools started being tagged as a legacy tool because they were not adopting the cloud version of an organization's journey. Now, coming to the latest of the identity governance and identity management tools like SailPoint is bringing in a lot of values when it comes to both having a on-prem version of their enterprise assets, be it application, data, or anything else, and the cloud version, where increasingly all the organizations are moving into cloud, and SailPoint is helping them doing this, manage both the things seamlessly with the identity at the core and with the zero trust principle in mind, right? Now, when it comes to migrating from the legacy, which we have discussed and defined what legacy identity management tools are, to the latest SailPoint identity governance tools, there are certain kind of activities which are time consuming. There are certain kind of activities which needs deeper understanding of the identity domain. And then there are certain kind of activities which needs a better process to be migrated seamlessly and faster into the new identity governance platform, which solves the zero trust and the governance aspect of the things for an organization. And that is where Wipro, in last 24 years, nearly 2 decades of its experience in all the 5 phases of the identity management as a domain maturity, have came up with an orchestration platform which can effectively help not only doing certain repetitive or time-consuming tasks for an organization when it actually migrates from the legacy to the new IGA solution, but it also brings in a lot of values in terms of the knowledge base and areas where the human aspects are involved. For example, if for an identity governance project, a whole lot of activity goes into interacting with different teams, stakeholders, getting the right set of information, and then executing the identity governance project. And that is where this orchestration platform definitely brings in a lot of values in interacting with them, gathering the information, maturing that information into a right set of activities which can be executed for our identity governance project and flawlessly execute the project as a whole in a shorter duration of time with least cost involved.
And Joydeep, do I understand you've got a customer case study example that you know particularly well?
I would say I know, and that is Wipro. We drink our own champagne. So so again, when Wipro go and talk to Wipro's customer, Wipro talks about SailPoint, the great platform SailPoint brings in, be it IIQ or IDN, and how this platform actually can help our organization. And that is where we have seen the values of SailPoint as a tool, and we ourselves have adopted SailPoint as a tool. And again, giving a quick background of Wipro's identity journey. Wipro started its security practice in 1998. We started with identity governance as identity management as a practice. We started building our own identity tool because there was no OEMs for that matter during those days. We were the first movers in the security space. And in next 2-3 years, we realized that we are more of a service company. We are not a product company, and we should behave like a service organization. And we have discontinued our product, and we have partnered with best of the breed OEMs on the identity space across all these throughout these years. Now, Wipro initially were using its own tools up till 2008, 2009, 2010 period. Then it had adopted Oracle Identity Management Solution, which was one of the best solution during those days. And it had rolled out the Oracle Identity Management Solution within a year. And we, up till last year or up till middle of this year, 2022, we were using the Oracle Identity Management as a solution for ourselves. Now, this is 11, 12 long years we have used this solution. However, the way Wipro have adopted the zero trust, because we, again, as I mentioned, we drink our own champagne when we are going and talking with the customer about zero trust, about identity governance. We do the same thing for ourselves first, and then we go and talk to the customer. And that is where zero trust was a very core motivation factor for Wipro when it decided to move into the new identity governance platform, and being the first mover in the cloud side of the overall Wipro landscape. So we started moving our enterprise tools into the cloud from 2015 onward. And we were doing it in a decent pace. However, this pandemic and the way Wipro started operating, from being it work from home, being it work from anywhere, it had actually speeded up the process of adopting the cloud and then having an entire zero trust implemented. And that brings in a very solid case to move away from Oracle Identity Management Solution into SailPoint Identity Now, which is a cloud version of the solution, which helps enable the cloud journey. And we have rolled out Identity Now as a solution in 7 months' time, where we have 290,000 and even more employees operating from 67 countries globally. And we could do that because of the flexibility of the tool, the kind of use cases we were trying to solve for ourselves, and the similar kind of use cases SailPoint also offers for our IT organization who are pretty much mature in the identity as a domain space, that effectively have bring in a lot of values when it comes to not only the identity management side of things, which is provisioning, deprovisioning, maintaining certain life cycle events, but more into the governance space with the cloud story also in mind, where we have a lot of our tools, applications, even resources deployed in the cloud, and the cloud also needs to be managed efficiently, just like we used to manage our data centers in the past. And that actually have helped us move into a much higher maturity when it comes to zero trust and identity governance as a domain.
Very good. Well, gentlemen, it's time to start wrapping up our conversation. Let me ask you, starting with you, Mike, what are the closing thoughts you want to leave people with about migrating to a modern identity platform?
It's never done. A lot of people make the mistake of, comparing themselves to other organizations or saying, well, once we do these 3 things, we can walk away and we're finished with this project. And that's not actually true, because the only certain thing is that the future will bring change. So it's a continual process of taking where you are, seeing where you want to be, and making steps to invest in that future. So I would just to encourage everyone to say there's always something more to do. You're never irreparably behind, but you're also never finished either. Keep on improving.
Very good. Aman, Justin, your closing thoughts?
Yeah, so get on the journey to modernize your legacy IGA system sooner than later. Cloud adoption is really fired up, and sooner you get on this bandwagon, better it is for your organization.
Yeah, I think just adding on to that, I think everyone's kind of seen the news in the last few years. Anytime there's a breach or something like that for a major company, right? So, like Aman said, it's better to get started.
Good. Joydeep, your closing thoughts?
Right. So identity is at the core of security, and zero trust is very much needed for an organization. And let's start with the trust on whom to trust. And that is where identity governance as a solution really brings a lot of value for an organization.
And where do we want to send people to get more information about migrating to a modern identity platform?
Sure. So referencing the slide up on the screen right now, so we are offering a free 1-hour workshop to get started on the journey. So happy the Agile and Wipro team to hop on a call and start working with you to understand your organization and their needs.
And SailPoint from our side will provide that Horizons report I mentioned earlier, so you can look and evaluate where you are, what maturity level you're at, and what the next steps are for your organization to continue your modernization journey.
Well said. Mike, Joydeep, Aman, Justin, thank you so much for your time and insights today. Thanks for answering my questions. Very grateful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, everyone.
For attendees, exactly. I want to thank them. We understand you took time out of your day to attend this session today. We don't take that lightly. We're grateful. I do trust that today's discussion provided some excellent new data points and insights to help you and your organization be even better prepared to tackle the identity challenges you've got ahead. I look forward to seeing you again at one of our upcoming sessions. And until then, for Information Security Media Group, I'm Tom Field. Thank you for giving us your time and attention today.